Hi, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the series on modernizing from Oracle Forms to Oracle Apex. Whether you are involved in the decision process or development task, or simply curious about transitioning from forms from legacy system to modern solutions, I'm sure this series has something relevant for you. But what does entail to modernize? Modernizing means bringing something all up to date. It's like taking an old car and tuning it into a new one, keeping the good stuff and making it work better with a new technology. So in these videos, we are going to take a journey through different stages of modernization, like the initial consideration and challenges organizations usually face, uh, diving into some technical details and the practices for developers, highlighting the insight from experts and the testimony of special guests. But before jumping into that, I would like to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Keny Colina. I'm originally from Venezuela, and I'm based in Montreal, Canada. And I am privileged to lead the Forms to Apex practice at Insum Solutions. With over 22 years of experience, most of them in Oracle technology, I have gained a solid background of Oracle Forms and PL-SQL development. But it was since 10 years ago when I decided to jump into in Insum Solutions, where I discovered the Oracle Apex world, and I fall in love with it. Back in then, it was really funny because back then people that didn't want to hear anything about Oracle Forms. It was like a kind of taboo in the office to talk about Oracle Forms. But later on, we realized that there were a lot of people out there, like you, that needed help with their legacy systems in Oracle Forms. So now I'm happy to help and guide our customers through successful modernization journeys. At Insum, we are passionate about driving innovation and transformations, and I'm thrilled to share this expertise with each of you. Throughout this series, my main goal is to share valuable insight, practical tips, and best practices based on our experience in Forms to Apex modernizations. I'm excited to embark in this journey with you and explore the possibilities that lies ahead. However, first, I would like to welcome an esteemed colleague who is going to be my co-worker in this series. Is a person whom I have the pleasure to work with side by side, and he's been instrumental in shaping the modernization practice at Insum. Please let's receive Velimir Corovic and ask him to join us in this adventure. Hi, Velimir.
Hey, hello, Kenny, and thank you for this kind introduction. For a moment I hadn't realized that it was about me, but thank you. So, yeah, my name, as Kenny said, my name is Velimir. I'm from Serbia, and I've joined Insum like 3 years ago, I think. However, before joining Insum, I had like 15 or so years in Oracle technologies. Yes, I'm that old. And I'm being Oracle and Apex enthusiast from the very beginning. So being Apex enthusiast and knowing everything about Insum as one of the leading companies that work with Oracle Apex, I just decided to join and to see how it works. Well, the process finished, and I've got the good news and the bad news at that point in time. So obviously the good news was that I'm hired, and I was really excited about it. But there was another piece of information that I've considered at that point in time to be the bad news. Well, actually, Kenny told me that I'm going to work on converting Forms to Apex, and I had some experience in Forms, standalone Forms, Oracle EBS, and I kind of known what to expect. But again, Apex was the thing that made me join Insum. And when Kenny told me that, I really thought I'm going to be bored to death. I thought that I'm going to be like a small factory of code, that I'm going to rewrite PL-SQL, that I'm going to make Apex pages out of Forms pages, essentially to make something that works out of something that also works.
I think I think that that's the reason why you didn't want to come full time with us at the beginning.
one of the reasons for sure, but yeah, now it's subtle, I would say, and yeah, that I was not that enthusiastic. I had, of course, less enthusiasm, but obviously I had too much self-confidence at that point in time, because when I started to work on that conversion project, after 1 or 2 days, I've realized some unexpected things. Let me give you a couple of examples. So I had audit in my Forms application. I rewrote everything to Apex. I just ran Apex to see if it works. And all of a sudden, every row, every record in the database was created by the same guy, Apex public user. Pretty confusing, right? I saw the WebUtil, but I didn't find a way to use WebUtil, or the need to use the WebUtil in Oracle Apex. I saw Oracle reports, which are obviously not the preferred way, not at least not the default way to do the reporting in Apex, and so on and so on. I started to realize that there is a subtle difference between Oracle Forms and Apex, which is sometimes not that subtle. And I like to say that I encountered some unique technical challenges that I would never encounter in some other area of development. So if there wasn't for Forms application, I wouldn't see some challenges at all, and I wouldn't need to resolve them as well. So yeah, it's not boring. It's really interesting, and it makes a lot more sense than I initially assumed. But when being said that, Kenny, I would like just to hear your thoughts about something. So I mentioned that we have some challenges, we have similar but yet different technologies, and so on and so on. But for me, the main thing would be, why would we bother? So I already mentioned that we have something that works, and we want to make something that also works, pretty much the same thing. So the big why we are doing it at all.
So that's the $1 million question, Velimir. Sometimes, there is no other way to do it. Are you familiar with the saying of if it works, don't touch it?
Yeah, that's actually the part of the job that I'm the best in. People usually tell me that not to touch something, and they're usually right. Yeah,
So
I know
that's
that.
what most of our customer thinks. If they have an application that is fine, it is working, they don't need to do anything about it. But sometimes they have no choice. In some cases, when they're working in an Oracle, in a version of Oracle Forms or report that is no longer supported, there is no other way. Sometimes, I mean, one of possibility, a perfectly fine possibility, is just to upgrade to a newer version of Apex. Sorry, a new version of Oracle Forms, but sometimes it is not feasible. It could take a lot of time or effort. I have seen people that even doesn't have the source code of the Oracle Forms,
Hmm.
or they're working in really old Windows servers just to be able to maintain those Oracle Forms. So I think that in some cases there is not really another choice but to modernize.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. I get it. And when you said, when you mentioned all these reasons, I think that I could add something to this list. So recently, I spoke with a potential client. They're a public company, and they have a lot of systems built with Oracle Forms. And which is kind of unusual, they really have their in-house experts. They're really knowledgeable about Oracle Forms and the database. However, they're having more and more issues in attracting new developers, new people that are willing to work in Oracle Forms. That I mean, it's not maybe necessary for someone to already know the Oracle Forms, but people are usually not willing even to learn it
Yeah,
because it is perceived as outdated technology, as you would put it, the star in the 80s, right?
yeah.
And it's not easy to find new talents and to find someone who would deal with it, even if you have the knowledge currently in the company. That could be another reason as well.
Yeah, that's perfectly right. I mean, people only want to work in web now. They don't want
Mm,
to work anymore in a technology from the 80s. From the
yeah,
80s.
yeah.
But you know what? Sometimes
Mhm,
there are functional driven reasons. Maybe there is not
mhm,
necessarily technical limitations. For example, we can have cases where we want just to improve the UI.
mhm.
That is the
Okay.
most common reason. Or you want to give access to partners or other or clients. In Oracle Forms, you are kind of forced to be inside your VPN, your
Yeah.
network. There is not actual a web technology. So,
Mhm, mhm.
or when you need to do major business requirements, in that case, people sometimes rather to start developing in a new technology, just keep the old one. So there are other potential reasons, and I'm sure that our audience could relate with those.
Mhm.
uh, so but I would say, despite whichever is the reason that you might have to change of technology, it could be perfectly fine. And I think one thing important here is just to keep in mind that we need to, in order to move forward, we need to better understand what it means to modernize. So I don't know,
Mhm.
Velimir, if you can help us with us.
Yeah, so that would really be my favorite question. What does it mean to modernize? Yeah, and usually when people ask me that question, I like to present a little drawing, and this is something that I'm going to do now as well. So just give me a couple of minutes, and let me share my screen. So entire screen, that one, share. And I guess that you can see my blank presentation now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so don't worry, it's not going to be a large presentation. It has only one slide actually. So yeah, I spoke to different kind of people about modernization process. And there are essentially two big groups, two types of people that I would like to start with, and I would like to put that in a small diagram. So on the left side, on our diagram, and this has nothing to do with politics, obviously, we have people that think that modernization process is kind of easier than it really is. And what I like to mention here, they expect some kind of a magic wand. So basically, they're reasoning like this. I have Oracle Apex, which is obviously Oracle technology, and that the same applies to Oracle Forms. Both are PL-SQL based, so both has to be similar enough. And also, I've probably heard some marketing speeches and materials that were explaining to me that I can switch from Forms to Apex with a couple of clicks with some automatized converters and so on and so on. So this group of people thinks that we have some kind of a magic wand, of a magic button that we are going to click, and after we click this, our Forms application just all of a sudden becomes Apex application.
Everyone would
And
like to have that one, Velimir.
that,
That's for certain.
that yeah, that would be nice. I'm not sure if we would still have our jobs, but that would be nice for sure. And now about these marketing materials, they're not necessarily wrong. There are cases in which you can automate your conversion process. But if you go any further than employees and departments, if you go any further than sample forms, even for a medium-sized real-world application, this approach will not work. So that's on the left side. Of course, we have the right side as well. So people on the right side usually start by acknowledging that we cannot have magical tool. And then they go in completely opposite direction. They say, I don't really care about forms application. I just care about business requirements that this application solves. And let me build brand new application that will satisfy the same set of business requirements. It should be easy, right? Users got used to it. They know what they need. They are already using what they need, right? So they will be able to explain their needs. I will be able to build that and just to forget about forms. Everything should go smooth, right? And the process would go smooth. It could work. But this process for sure would consume a lot more energy and effort and resources, money, time, whatever, than it's needed, because I will misuse, I will miss the opportunity, actually, I will miss the opportunity to reuse some pieces of code. So on the left side, we have a magic wand. On the right side, we have a hammer, right? But you asked what is the modernization process? And modernization process is something that happens here, in between. So if we say that on the left side we have, let's say, conversion. On the right side, we have redevelopment. Modernization is here. So what we want to do is to reuse some parts, but also to rebuild or to change things that really has to be rebuilded. And of course, it's not always right here in the middle. It can go to the left, it can go to the right. We would go probably to the left if we have really simple projects. We would go to the right with a really complex forms applications that we need to convert, but essentially we are somewhere here. And just a final note, so during this series, during these webinars, we are going to use probably several terms interchangeably. So we are going to mention modernizing, we are going to mention probably transformation, maybe something we are going to mention even conversion and whatnot. But whatever we mention, whatever term that we use, we will be referring to this part here, to the process which is again between the magic wand and a hammer. And does this answers your question, Kenny?
I found really great way to describe it. That's really illustrated. Thank you very much. I could say that, just summarizing, that it's just a transformation process. The important thing is just to keep in mind that it requires a good understanding of both of the platform. But I would like to add something that is really important, is the new application. We need to keep in mind that they need to be modern and intuitive. We need to really avoid to make mimics of the Oracle Forms screens. Um, it is according to just based on that, I would like Velimir just to share a couple of examples. Let me
Mm-hmm.
now
Nice.
share my screen. Can you see my screen, Velimir?
Not yet. Yeah, it's
Here we
coming
are.
now. Yeah, now we can.
So the idea is just to show some example of what we could do. So let's start with this one. Can you guess which one is in Oracle Forms.
Yeah, for this particular case, it's pretty much obvious, and I would say that the newer one, the front one, should be Apex. Yeah.
So in this case, we have in the back an screen we develop in Oracle Forms, and in the front the one that we did in Apex. And you can see here that in this case it was decided to take all the section that was that managed the dates in here, and we put it in the right side in order just to take advantage of the space of the screen. In
Hmm.
addition, all the buttons that we had it before in the section below, they were
Hmm.
all changed to the breadcrumb bar in order to avoid to scroll when you need to execute an action.
Okay, and just one question. So you are mentioning buttons here. Okay, I see that the position is different. I see that UI is obviously different, but do they execute the same processes in the background? Would they do the same things when clicked?
Exactly.
Hmm.
That's the main purpose of modernization. Behind
Yeah.
scenes, they're
Okay.
going to do exactly the same that they were that we had in Oracle in the legacy system.
Okay.
So
Okay. Got
let's
it.
see another example. In here, we have three different but screen. Actually, in the Oracle Forms application, we had different tabs, and in the Apex application, we created only one screen, and we changed using a list of value in order to show the search criteria. So it
Hmm.
allows us just to reduce something that were developed in three different tabs with different reports. We concentrated in only one page. It looks nicer, and it was more efficient as well.
Hmm.
Let's look at this. In this particular case was special because for this screen, the client didn't want to change a thing. They
Hmm.
were it was really important. It looked and behaved exactly the same that we have before. And this is an example that when this kind of requirement arrives, it can be done. It can just be it can be just be looked like we have in the legacy application.
As
In some
similar as it gets. Yeah.
yeah, it is not necessarily the standard approach to follow, but for some
Mm,
cases like this one, I think it is okay.
got it.
Let's see this case. We had in forms header and kind of header, but it actually was an extra information that was displayed to the record we were positioned at
Hmm.
in the block below. So in Oracle Apex, we created an interactive report with a control break that looks much nicer than what we had before, and the information. That was in here was included in the control break session. Another thing really nice that was added in here is the buttons we had in here were included as part of the report, so it gives a
Hmm.
really modern look and it looks really nicer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's obvious. Yes.
In this particular case, we have a screen where the enter query and execute query was really useful. So in this
Hmm.
case, we created an interactive report that give us the whole power of the search capabilities, and then with a little button that allow us just to enter in the formula in the forms in edit mode in order to change or
Hmm.
to see the whole information. Finally, I got this example where it was just like the case we discussed before, that we have here in the footer information that was related to the record we were positioned at, but
Hmm.
it was not really important to have it in front of us every time. So we created just a little icon button here and we pop the information when required, and it allows us just to save space in the screen, and it looks much nicer than that we had.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So
I understand.
what do you think about this example, Velimir?
Yeah, I think they are very, very interesting, very, very useful. So at this point of our first episode, we already probably answered to the question why. So why we are modernizing, and to the question what we are doing with that diagram. And now you also shown us the examples of modernization, so audience can see what they can expect at the very end of the process. But taking a look at these examples, would I be right to assume that the UI part is usually the one that is changed, and the backend will usually remain, I wouldn't say the same, but more similar to the original code?
Actually, Velimir, I don't think so.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, it's going to depend. I mean, in some cases, that for certain that the UI that were built in the 80s, it doesn't necessarily is going to match with a web, the web paradigm, or the web
Hmm.
technology we work right now. But regarding the PL-SQL code, is going to depend on how the Oracle Forms was built,
Hmm.
and also how we can leverage the functionalities that Apex can provide. So in some cases, we can actually need to redevelop the screen because it's going to be faster, more efficient, and better than to try to replicate what we have in Oracle Forms. I mean, in the taking in a perspective of the PL-SQL code, no, because the UI, as you mentioned, it definitely, as we mentioned, it definitely needs to be considered differently. But I wouldn't assume that the UI is the only thing that needs to be changed. On the contrary, it's case by case scenario. We need
Hmm.
just to understand what is the actual functionality of the screen, and then to decide how it could be developed in Apex, taking advantage of the whole feature that Oracle Apex can provide.
Okay, okay, got it. So once more, no one size fits all. That would be the conclusion, I guess, in that part as well. Okay,
That's
got
why
it.
personally I think, as you were mentioning before, I really don't believe that it exists a magic one, because
Mm,
it is case by case scenario.
got it. Got it.
uh, but now I would say it's going to be important to understand why Apex, because we are talking about
Mm,
modernization. We can go to whichever technology we would like. So I don't know, Velimir, could you talk us a little bit about why Apex is the best option to
yeah,
modernize?
yeah, got it. So, during the war, as Albert would say, I was using Apex in its ancient versions, in the earliest versions, and at that point, at that given point of time, Apex was not perceived as a tool for enterprise application. It was perceived as a, I would say, mock-up tool for small proofs of concepts, and so on and so on. Fortunately, that's not the case today. Now, Apex is really established solution, and furthermore, which is also important, it is really marketed solution. If you take a look at Larry Ellison's keynote, you will hear things about Oracle Apex being the technology for Oracle in recent years, and so on and so on. But again, what makes Apex good fit in our context? Um, there are there are other web-based solutions that look modern that we could use. I don't know, Vue or React or you name it. But the thing with Oracle Apex is that it lives in the Oracle database and leverages PL-SQL to generate web pages. That's the big difference. So when you have sorry.
But what does it mean that I can take the Oracle the PL-SQL code I have in a trigger in a stored procedure sorry in the trigger or program unit and I put it into the database in a package, for example?
You can do it, but you should be very lucky if it compiles at your first try. Let me mention that part. So Apex is using PL-SQL, and that is what make Apex similar to Oracle Forms. And you can leverage your knowledge. You can leverage knowledge of people who know Oracle Forms, and obviously, for our context, that's the big deal. However, we should be aware of the fact that Oracle Forms and database itself are using different PL/SQL engines. Yes, I was surprised by that as well. And there are parts of PL/SQL that will, for example, set item properties. If you take a look at any Oracle form, you will see probably a lot of set item properties as a way to influence the front end from the back end, right? And if you just put that code in database package, it will just not compile because database engine does not know what set item properties is. So actually, you can transfer your PL/SQL code. You will be able to retain the most part of it, but in some cases, you will need to rewrite or to adjust some things to web technologies. And of course, set item properties is only the tip of the iceberg. And during our webinar series, we are going to show different examples of such of such challenges, and we are going to propose even some ways how to overcome. But once again, I would say that Apex would be a good fit for it because it's based on PL/SQL, and that's what is distinctive in when we compare Apex to other modern technologies. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, perfectly sense. And if I take back your comment at the very beginning, we can say that people doesn't want to learn forms anymore. So the new
Mm,
generations want just to work in web. And we can't forget that now at this moment organizations have a skill set in PL/SQL code, PL/SQL language. So
mm,
working in going to Oracle Apex is going to allow this organization to leverage the knowledge and the skill set they already have now.
yeah. And mhm,
No,
okay.
I was thinking that we were talking about the similarities between Oracle Forms and Apex, and I would like just to present
Mhm,
a slide I have here uh, that can help to better visualize what we are talking about. So I'm going just to share my screen once again. Uh, Please let me know if you can see it. Yeah. So
yeah.
let's take a look at the similarities first. Both of them, as you mentioned, are 100% Oracle tools. They are low declarative platforms, and are both of them are uses. Uh, Both of them use PL/SQL code. Okay, we can reutilize most of the features of the database. Is They are really common, but normally they have also some differences. For example, Oracle Apex is based on metadata, while in Oracle Forms we need to generate executable files in order to be able to run it. Another example is that Oracle Apex works in any modern browser, while
Mm,
in Oracle Forms we need Java Web Stars or some plugins in the browser in order this to
yeah.
run. And not talking about how the development environment that you need to install Forms Builder. Everyone that has working on Oracle Forms know how painful it is to install the Forms Builder in local. In other hands, we need to mention that Oracle Forms is really good for bulk entry data when
Mm,
people don't even take out their look from the keyboard just to enter data, while Oracle Apex is more web design. Like we use more the mouse, and
Yeah.
they are just different in that context.
Yeah, so we could probably conclude that they are really similar in a way, but still we need to keep in mind that they are still different technologies and bear that in mind when we are working on modernization projects, right?
Yeah, I like to call them, or I like to say they are not brothers or siblings, but cousins. They are
Yeah,
familiar, but not exactly from the same from the same
yeah,
parents.
yeah, I like that analogy. Okay.
So I would like just to go now, Velimir, to take a look at the correspondences between Forms and Apex. So
Mhm.
in order to do that, I would like just to share my screen, uh, and to play a quick game. So I put here the correspondences between Forms and Apex. I mean, in the left side, the Forms, and in the right side, the Apex components. And I would
Mhm.
like just to start asking you, what would you do in different scenario? So let's start with the alerts, for example. How would you do an alert in Apex?
Mhm. Mhm. So let's see. We have an alert, which means that we want to present some message to our user. It has to be done in a front end. So probably I would go with dynamic action and either use out of the box alert true action or maybe even apex.message.alert. They're pretty similar. And for the text itself, I could use substitution strings to support globalization or whatnot. But one way or another, I would go with some JavaScript piece of code to pop up the alert in front of a user.
Yeah, actually, you nailed it. I mean, the options are multiples, and it's going to
Mhm.
depend of the expertise of the developer, or just the shoes of every case. I remember we worked in a project where we actually developed model screens, a general model screen, in order to handle the alerts. So it's going to depend
Aha.
of what actually you would like to get. No, um, I think
Okay, okay, understood.
I could say the easy case is the blocks, because the blocks is a simple correspondence of a region in Apex.
As the containers. Okay, okay.
Yeah, that for sure. That depending of what we want to present, we can use different type of regions. We have interactive grids, interactive reports, or just
Yeah, for our items. Yes, yes,
is
okay.
going to depend, and the items we need to put in there. What about LOBs, Velimir?
Yeah, so in Oracle Forms, we should talk in about LOEs and our record groups as connected concepts. While I don't know, record group will hold our query, and LOE will hold the mapping between this query and items. But on the side, on the Apex side, it's kind of a different, I would say, more straightforward. We have our shared components, we can define our lists of values, and we can use these lists of values in pages in multiple flavors. I don't know, select lists or pop up LOEs or whatever. But that is the first thing that crosses my mind when you ask me about LOEs, right?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. And I repeat, it's going to depend of the strategy and the standard the project goes. Normally, the recommendation is going to be to use your component, but in some cases, we sometimes add the actual query or the LUV directly in the page. It's going to be
Yeah.
depending on each scenario. And let's go with the big ones that are the program units or triggers. As we have already mentioned, it's going to depend of what you need to do, but in those cases, we probably are going to use computation validations or processes in Apex.
Yeah, so we tend to put the code in our packages. That's fine. We need to adjust some pieces of code, as we just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. But then, as you said, we need to take care about the moment in time when our code will be executed. So do we want the code to be executed on submit, on load, as a computation, as a validation, and so on and so on. But these are considerations that we have to keep in mind: which code and when to execute.
Yeah, if we go try to do an actual correspondence one by one, it's going to be too difficult. Actually, it
Mm,
doesn't exist a correspondence one to one. We can just for theoretically try to relate something from forms to Apex, but in the real life, it doesn't really work that way.
yeah, again, it's not always the case. It's not a firm rule. Okay, okay, understood.
Yeah, well, I would say that at this point, eh, one of the crucial things that we need to keep in mind in a modernization is there are decisions that needs to be taken before actually we even think to do a correspondence from forms to Apex. We need to start the project with the right foot, and for
Mm,
those. There are some development specification we need to consider. So I would like just show you some of them that I listed in order we can go through them. Can you see my screen, Velimir?
now I can, yes.
Okay, so let's take a quick example here, a quick look. We need to consider in the case we have multiple schemas, how they are going to be handled. Some cases we use just attach all this schema to at workspace level. In other cases, people rather to granted privileges, for example,
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
or how we're going to manage the schema names. Some clients prefer to actually write hard coded the name of the schema. And in some other cases, they prefer to use synonyms. I think the authentication scheme, there is something, it is one of the most important thing we need to evaluate or define before the project starts. We have multiple options. We can use LDAP, Azure, Okta. It could be custom based on a table or any others. And in some cases, for some organization, it is convenient to use single sign-on, while in other cases, they prefer to use explicit authentication.
mm,
How to handle the global variables? Are we going to use application items or items in page zero? Are going to have scope or application scope or global scope? I mean, every case, as I said before, is different, and according the decision that we take on this is the how we're going to decide what is the solution we're going to use for each of the screens we're going to convert. In the case of reports, well, we know already that Oracle reports is deprecated. So can we just use interactive reports in Oracle Apex, or should we use another tool? Is Apex Office Spring could be a good fit or not?
mhm,
Um, and in the case of the deployment, I think it is really important to keep in mind who is going to take in charge of those. Are we going to to use multiple applications or not? Are we going to be manual or automatic? So
mm.
really, this is important things that we need to consider before start actually the project. And that's why in Insum we decided to create a service we finally call Transforms. And it is just the assistance of Forms and Apex specialists to analyze the environment related to the Oracle Forms applications. The idea is to understand the needs to convert to Apex and establish a clear roadmap of the modernization project.
Okay, so if I got it right, so during the execution of this audit project, we would spend a couple of weeks with our clients, analyze everything that needs to be analyzed, and as a deliverable, we are going to provide a set of documents, recommendations, or whatever. And using these recommendations, they could execute modernization projects, maybe with us, maybe with some other company, maybe even on their own, but they will be guided by deliverable documents from this audit, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Velimir. For to welcome our special guest, um, I would like just to see what's next. So, as we mentioned at the beginning, we have different session plans. This one we just we are discussing is just a general overview, but we're going to jump into more detail. We're going to get talk about the session management and the difference between Forms and Apex in that sense. We're going to talk about Oracle Forms build teams, some conversion techniques we suggest, we recommend, and has been a really game changer for in our projects. We're going to talk about asynchronous process and RDF conversion. But do not hesitate if you have a particular point, a doubt, just add it in the comments. We are going to look at it, and maybe we can just create a new sessions to go through those. So, what about Velimir today? As I mentioned, we have a special guest. She is the principal product manager of Oracle Apex. I really would like to thank her to be with us today. So please let's welcome Monica Godoy. Monica, hello, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much, Kenny. Nice to meet you, Velimir.
Nice to meet you too, Monica.
So, Monica, I would like just to start. Uh, can you share with our audience what is your experience of Forms and Apex modernization?
Sure. So, in order to talk about my experience, I have to say that I used to be a Forms developer, and I help a number of companies with the ERP system in Forms for about 5, 6 years. Okay, and later I discovered Apex, right? Everything was changed to me, a new world, and I think you know, right? What happened when you discover Apex, the functionality, the fast that you can create the applications, the fast that you can see the results, and the fast that you can deliver amazing applications. So after that, after this discovered, I start working as an independent consultant, helping customers to create new applications using Apex or extending the functionality of their ERP systems using Apex, but also helping customers to modernize their Forms applications using Apex. And to me, while I was modernizing this application or this project, well, I have to say that I learned from Apex than ever before because there are a number of things that you have to consider when you are performing the modernization, right? And I was doing this modernization from scratch. I wasn't using any type of tool. So there are a number of things that you have to consider. For example, what's going on with the security, the user interface, also the business logic, and so yeah, essentially that's my experience. As I said, I wasn't using any tool; everything was created from scratch, and because this allowed me to taking in consideration the requirements that the customer have, right? That the customer has, but also to provide a friendly user interface for the users, right? Because I don't know if you have seen Forms pages, but there are a number of things in a single form. You
Yeah.
can see a lot of data, a lot of buttons, functionality, right? But we have to think that in the moment that this system was created, probably 10 or 20 or 30 years ago, the way that we have to deliver the functionality was totally different than today, right?
Yeah.
So it is not only to copy what we have before, but to provide a better user interface for the users. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Monica. It's really interesting, and I guess it is the case of most of our audience. I mean, once you learn Oracle Apex, you learn that that exists. We fall in love. There is no way we don't. So I think that is the most. That's most of our cases also. So,
Okay.
Monica, if I ask you what is the most common reasons organization decides to modernize, what would you say?
All right. So this is a good question, and to me, there are a number of reasons, right? But the most common reasons uh, when organizations decide to modernize is the number one, because forms is not meeting the requirements that they need, right? They have some challenges today, or they want to run the application on a mobile device, and that's almost, it's very hard or not impossible sometimes, or they want to include some components in the forms applications that are not possible, or they have to create or enter a number of code to solve or to provide this functionality, right? But the second reason is because it is hard to find skilled forms developers. And I think in your presentation you talk a little bit of that, right? It is hard
Yeah.
nowadays to get hire a forms developer. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty aligned with what we said. Thank you for that. And while Kenny asked about reasons, I would really like to ask about challenges. So technical or not technical ones. What were challenges? The biggest challenge in your modernization project that you saw?
Well, I will say that as always, you are going to find some challenges, right? Because this is a new project, and you are going to find some things. But I will say that from the customers, not only from my side, but from the customers, the most significant challenge is the resistance of
Mm,
the users to keep the old methodology of forms,
Hmm.
right, in the new application. Independently on the platform that you are using, there is going to be some resistance, right? Because nobody likes the change. So
yeah,
the only way that you can overcome the resistance is by allowing the users to run the applications by their own, that they can see the power. And I'm pretty sure, and this happened to me while I was uh, being an independent consultant, that when I provide the proof of concept to the users, and they see the power of Apex. They can see, they can run the applications on any device, the components, and so on. They start thinking, oh my God, I can request other use cases to create new applications with Apex. Or now we can integrate other data sources, or hey, with Apex, can I consume a service or whatever? So this open a new outlook for them, right? They are going to start more things to you, so be prepared, because I think if you overcome the resistance from the users, you are going to get a number of opportunities for this new work with Apex.
Yeah,
Yes.
I definitely agree that change management is one of the hardest things to go. And I guess that it could be that easy. In our case, we normally try to involve business users from the very beginning from the project. Don't wait to have the
Yes.
screen developed. This is important to involve them from the very beginning. They can give their opinions, support the little grain of sand. I could say that that would make it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Monica, we were discussing in our presentation. We were talking. I'm actually, personally, I think there doesn't exist a magic one, but I have seen actually, me myself, I try to create a kind of automatic converter. To automatically go from forms to apex. Do you think that could be suitable for this kind of project? Do you believe that it is possible to get an actual automatic conversion from forms to apex?
Well, what I think is a tool can definitely can help you to expedite the process, right? But it's not only that you put your forms, your FMBs there, and boom, you are going to get an Apex application, right? You have to know that there is business logic not only in your forms but also in your database that probably you will need to review, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to decide what to do with this. Yeah, we simplify the business logic, or we enhance the business logic. So there are a few things to consider. Also, the other thing that I was saying before, that in the form, let's say you have a form, but there are a number of things there, data and functionality. Do you want to keep the same in a new Apex application? I don't think so, right?
Yeah,
Probably this form can be converted in three
yeah,
pages in Apex.
yeah,
So I always say this to the customer. Now that you are performing this type of project, it's not only right, move directly to Apex. No, spend some time reviewing the logic. What are you going to do with this? Also, if there is a way to simplify, as I said before, and also if you can provide a better user interface for the users, the better, right? Also, the navigation to be more easy for them to find the options that they need. There are a number of things that you can enhance, right? So spend some time on that. I don't say that you spend 1 month or 3 months on that, but yes, spend a little bit of time, consider these things. And as I said, there are tools, right, in the market that you can use. But I think the most important is that you take some decisions about your forms project. What do you want to do with the security, user interface, the logic inside of the forms, right? If you want to move it to the database or you want to keep it in the application, right? Also, if there is a process in the organization that you want to enhance, this is the right moment to do it. Mhm.
exactly, exactly. That's yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Monica. And what do you think? I mean, I have seen also cases where people are they want to start modernizing, and they say, yeah, just let me do a quick training of apex and let me try start making some decisions. Do you think it is enough just to have knowledge of apex, or informs, or maybe both of them, in order to do a modernization?
Hmm. I think it's important to have a big knowledge of forms and also be experienced in the Apex side, right? If you are not experienced in Apex, probably you are going to try to create things that are already existing in Apex,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
I think if you can have both skills, will be great, or not the same person, but different people in the team can have the experience. But also, as we mentioned before, it's important to have also some soft skills, right? How are you going to handle the change in the organization? How are you going to handle also the requirements from the customers? From the users, because at the end you have to have a little bit of empathy. because the users are going to run these applications, right?
Yeah.
So deliver something that they can really use, and that they can take the most of the application, right? So if you have these soft skills to provide good functionality, good environment for the user, a good way that they can receive the new changes, you are going to be great. And of course, you will need the expertise and the knowledge. Probably you don't need to be an expert on forms, but yes, to just to go directly and to learn what you need from the form, right? What is the logic that you need from there?
Hmm.
Okay, thank you for that. And I'm really curious about the next one, and I cannot really imagine the better person to ask the information from. So, what would you say? How do you envision the future of Apex? So, not only related to our modernization or conversions, but what Apex represents to Oracle as a product today and in future. What would you say?
Okay, so the Apex future is bright. I think you in the presentation also mentioned a few things, right? And the community is growing every day, right? More
Mm,
than 19 millions of applications created, 60,000 of customers using Apex. And these numbers are growing every day, right? Also, Apex is the Oracle's low-code strategic platform, right? Even Apex is the only low-code platform that is available or that is running on autonomous database today, right?
mhm,
And another point to add here is that this year Apex adopts a new billing metric for compute resources on Oracle Cloud. So
mhm,
with this move to this new billing metric, Oracle has reduced the entry level price for the customers, right, in about 66%. So for
Wow.
customers, it is going to be easier to start developing the applications on Oracle Cloud running on autonomous database, right? So now you
mhm,
can define exactly the amount of resources that you need, and all of this leads to a bigger community. As I said, this community is growing. The number of customers, partners, developers that are using Apex. And now they have the opportunity to use Apex applications or to build Apex applications not only on premise but also on Oracle Cloud. And thanks to this new metric way, uh, in, this will help also that the customers that are using an old and a supported version of Forms to start or to modernize the Apex, the Forms applications using Apex, right? So, yeah, you can also go to apex.oracle.com/roadmap
mhm.
to read the new functionality, because I didn't mention this, but we release two versions of Apex per year, right? You know that.
Yeah.
So you're pretty sure, yeah. So if you go to the roadmap, you are going to see so much interesting components, features that we are working today to deliver you more functionality, more components, so you can really meet all the requirements that your business has today.
Great.
Okay, thank you very much. That was kind of an answer that I was hoping for.
Yes.
And yeah, so for 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 the closure, for the very end, I would like just to go back once again to our original topic of forms to Apex conversion, and I will ask you something that we'll probably ask every other guest. So, what would be the advice that you could offer to those who are still hesitating about modernizing, who are still thinking if they should modernize or not?
Okay, so well, this is up to the customer, right? If you want to modernize or you want to stay on forms, right?
Mm.
This is a decision from the customer. And also, I think there is a decision flow. Probably we can share this decision flow with the audience as well, so they can see there are a couple of questions that they can answer it's themselves to know what is the best way for them, right? If you are unsure, but to answer the question, if you are unsure about the power of Apex, you can perform a proof of concept. Because, as I said before, when you are performing this proof of concept, you can really know what are the challenges or what is the effort required to perform the entire modernization, right? And also, you will see the power of Apex in real time, right? You
Yeah.
will see, okay, here is my data, here is what we can, before probably you have a master detail in form, but this can convert it to a different component. It doesn't have to be the same component, right? Also, just that you take in mind that not only you need to stay in forms or modernize the forms applications with Apex, both applications can coexist. So
Mm.
if you have, so let's say that the new applications that you want to build are going to be in Apex, but you can keep your existing
Yeah.
applications forms, right? So both can coexist using the same database objects. So you don't need to rewrite or let's say to modernize what you have in forms, right? Both can coexist, and the new functionality is going to be in Apex, right? So yeah, essentially is that. But I think this decision flow that we are going to share will be really useful for the customers.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Thank you very much, Monica, and thank you for being with us. I couldn't think to anyone better than you for this very first session. It was really enlightening, and I really would like to appreciate to take your time, take the time to be with us. Thanks very much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, Keny and Velimir, for having me today.
And see you everybody. Do not forget to we have the next session here in the video. Register and just do not forget to add your comment questions. It would be our pleasure just to try to answer all of them. Thank you, everybody. Until the
Thank
next
you,
one.
everyone. See you soon. Bye.